Today on The Riff, Jeremy and Justin talk about Genesis as we start the Invisible Jesus series. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff. And Justin, can you help me? We're early on. For those who are viewing, which camera am I to look at? Because we got multiple cameras here.
Well, one's a backup, and then you're just going to look at that one.
What if I go right in between?
I think that would work.
Okay, so welcome to another episode of The Riff. I'm Jeremy. This is Justin.
Hey, you're back, man.
I am back.
You had 2 episodes. Listen.
No. One, hats off to you.
Well,
because not only did you have the weight of being the sole responsible proprietor of the Riff in my absence, you also had the added element of snowstorms 2 weeks in a row, canceling out scheduled guests.
yeah, so we got a little behind. And then you went on vacation, and I believe you said, you got it. I think that's what you said.
Justin,
I think that's what you said.
I want you to know I believe in you,
No,
especially when it comes to tasks that I need off my plate. I couldn't have more confidence in you.
Yeah, well, I got it. So, yeah, everybody canceled. And then I was home with my girls. So they did an episode.
Did you do it from home?
No, we came here.
Okay.
Because they wanted the full
Little field
experience. Yeah, they wanted the full experience. So I was like,
Which
let's
was
do it.
last week's episode.
Last week's episode.
But as we record this, I've not yet heard it. So this is kind of like, what would this be called? A time warp?
It's like a time
wormhole?
warp. We are in a time machine type of deal right now.
Yeah.
With all of these episodes. So now this one, as you are listening,
Oh boy.
we are in March.
Yeah. So here's what I am most excited about now is we started just this last weekend. We started a brand new series, Invisible Jesus. And this is a series that I would anticipate, it'll probably take us 2 years to walk through this. We're going one book at a time, not a verse at a time. So we're going to take one book at a time, which I will say, I was talking about this a couple weeks ago on a weekend service, and I said, apparently, I didn't even notice, I didn't catch it, but I've heard from several scholars, which doesn't surprise me. We have an above average biblical knowledge base here at North Point. I heard from several scholars that I held up my Bible and I said, these 69 books. So I will say this, whatever level or lack of credibility I have to walk through the Bible, I think I just threw it all away by not even saying the correct number of books. And at the same time, maybe there's a few books like the Book of Enoch that I wish were included.
I was just going to say, I just said, he's included in the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So okay.
Big deal.
Yeah, it could be 70.
There
actually.
have been other followers of Christ in the early church that did.
We're going to do some Gnostic Gospels.
The Book of Thomas. I mean, come on.
Come on. We're just going on a journey.
Now, after a lot of review and a careful math experiment, I have come up with confidence that there are 66 books that we're going to cover.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So I'm not trying to start my own council of the canon or anything like that. So, yeah, if you thought North Point was a cult, you probably had reason to wonder. So, but I did mean, in my mind, I said 66, but it's tough because here's what I was going to do. I was going to talk about the Old Testament, the 39 books, and then I realized, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm talking about the whole thing, and I just threw out the wrong number. So
it's fine. And you did it in one service.
I did.
One.
I did.
Out of 3.
Did. Yeah.
Like,
so,
what do you want?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, Justin, not one person from the other 2 services has come up to me and said, hey, Jeremy, you said 66 books. I just want to say that was correct.
You nailed it.
Isn't that crazy? How the nature of humanity right there?
Humanity.
We are just, sure. We'd like to talk to your manager now just because you forgot how many books there are in the Bible.
Right? That's,
But there's 66. There's 66 books in the Bible that I'm going to be talking about.
No, that's great. And hey, great job on getting that right those other 2 times.
No, absolutely. Thank you. 1, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a solid D.
Yeah. You're
66%?
I know.
Yeah. And if I'm talking free throw, that's probably not good either. But if I'm talking baseball,
Hall of Fame,
Hall of Fame,
like
baby.
front door Hall of Fame, probably a statue.
Yeah, first
'Cause
ballot.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. So okay, well, so anyway, we started this weekend. We started Genesis, and we talked about it that this isn't going to be like an academic overview of the entire book. It's not going to be here are the 7 themes in each book, and here's the hidden mysteries that no one else has ever explored, but here I am. What we're going to do in every book is to be able to say, hey, here's a part of what this book is communicating. And we want to show how this attribute or this indication or this reference or this story is so Jesus that shows up in every book. And so we're excited about that. Now, we'll also have resources. So if you were here this weekend, you know that we have some resources. We want you to go onto the app, check out our resources, because there are really cool, like some people I've heard are going to do some reading plans and be like, okay, I'm going to try and read through the scriptures as we go through this. And that's awesome because it's certainly not an exhaustive deal. And there's also different things like Bible Recap, Bible Project, Bema. There are so many great resources out there for people to say that I think have the pace that it wouldn't be life-altering schedule to be able to take one of these and add it for every book we're going through. So if you're wanting to do that. Ultimately, this daily Bible integration is one of the 5 things that we've been talking about that we want for North Pointers to help us understand. Those are going to be great supplements. So anyway, with that, we're not going to do this for all of them. We probably won't even do them for several of them.
We could though. Don't put yourself in a box.
I think if I said we would, then that's the box that I'm trying to avoid.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
That's a 66.
No. We're not going to do this for everyone.
69?
66.
66.
It's
Yeah.
66. Yeah.
But I do want Genesis. Genesis, one of the things that I did not cover are a lot of the main narratives of the story of Genesis. And Genesis is 50 chapters.
One of the things I didn't cover was the
Genesis
book. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this idea of wholeness and God's invitation for us to be part of bringing wholeness to fracture. But I mean, we didn't dive into the creation, really. We didn't dive into Abraham. We didn't dive into Joseph. And there's so many things there.
It's my favorite book.
Okay.
Of the entire Bible.
And that's what I want to do today. Let's talk about Genesis. Let's talk about some questions or just some excitement about it. So you say favorite book. Why in the world is it your favorite book?
I think that it's the most comprehensive book when I read at least the Old Testament of like the actual picture of God and what he's wanting. He's wanting a partner.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends, right? Like that's how like you're like, oh, like that family actually is partnering with him. And that's the difference between all of these different stories when you look at Noah and even just like the background of those stories are unreal because you see, if you listen to the Bema podcast on Noah specifically, he does such a great job of walking through what that story is and was. And when you juxtapose that to the Mesopotamian story of the flood and all of these different epics that you would have,
almost every tribe has
the exact same.
100%.
And then there's a switch at the end where it's like, but this God isn't like that.
Right.
And every story is that way, where it's trying to paint this picture of
Abraham
like,
and Isaac.
Yes, like you know of this God, but let me tell you something different. And it's no different from when Paul is speaking on the hill and he's saying, hey, you have all of these gods, but there's one unnamed. And let me tell you, like you understand, but you don't have the name yet. So I love that book so much.
So, okay, I absolutely love that. And part of the understanding is this idea of anytime we look at scripture, to get the most out of it, or to get the most accurate out of it, that's probably the way to say it, we have to understand who is it written to, what did it say, what did it mean to them? Because if we look at it through our current cultural lens, we don't have a natural bridge to understand that. Now, I can get some good principles out of it. But so one of the differences is if we were to be oversimplified, we would say, okay, you got a Near Eastern world of thinking, and we got a 3000 BC Near Eastern world of thinking. Not saying 3000 BC was the creation, but saying 3000 BC is probably when Moses' recordings of all of these stories all of a sudden start having some type of circulation, right? And so that's where, when this collection is now recorded, it's what did that mean? And what world was this talking to? Because our world, it instantly is, let's build a museum and use these things as scientific data. And I'm not saying, just to be super clear, I'm not saying there's not science in Scripture, there's not data in Scripture. But a Western world, 21st century way to think is so linear, so bullet point. So we're thinking it's Wikipedia. But the Eastern world, or a Near Eastern world 3,000 years ago, they weren't writing a Wikipedia entry. They were writing a story to show how the God of their creation wants relationship with them. And so it's so different. And if I take that lens, my first thought is like if I got a fundamentalist passion for Scripture, I would say if you have a fundamentalist passion for Scripture, all the more reason to grasp for what did that Scripture mean. And to say, I don't need to guard this. This wasn't Wikipedia. This wasn't linear. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it's very true to what it said it was what it was trying to say. And so who is this God that's saying to Abraham, sacrifice your kid? A linear thinker thinks, we don't understand God's ways, and sometimes he's going to tell you to sacrifice your kid. What would that say to the Eastern thinker? Like that story. Do you remember that context of why would God use that story?
Yeah, people know that story.
Yes.
People know it. People know of stories like this, of sacrificial elements and all of these pieces of you have to provide, you have to provide, you have to provide, you have to make this, you have to make this right, you have to make this right. And at the end of this story, it's, wait, hold on, like our God provides.
Yeah.
Which is a shift in the mind of that reader or thinker in those days where it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? No, you're messing up the sacrificial system here, because I know exactly what to do to get rain, and I know exactly what to do to get sun, and don't screw that up, because I know how this works. Yeah. And they're saying, I don't think we do. I think that there's more to this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everything in that story of Genesis is showing how God is different. God is different than what you think. God is different than what others think. And using the common language to be able to show a very uncommon God. And
it's trying to get you, for me at least, within that book, I love it. It's trying to get you to see his face.
Yep.
Like I'm telling you my favorite part of The Chosen. You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, side note, I'm just glad we're here. Riff listeners, can we just celebrate? Because there was a day on our Riff that you were resistant. You were chosen resistant. I was too.
Yeah, they're usually cheesy.
They're usually okay, so tell me your favorite.
My favorite part is a reoccurring thing that they do. And I cry every time. And I'm like, why do I cry? This is the weirdest part to cry in. Is it the
fish at the beginning?
It's the fish at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, no, it is anytime. And it happens a lot. And they've got a soundtrack that goes with it. So it's a nice little trigger that they're using. He'll say, look at me. Look at my face. Look at my eyes. Something like that. Yeah. In all of these scenes, they'll be looking down. So even though Jesus is there, even though like the God of the universe of creation is there and you are present, you still don't see him until he says, hey, look at me. And that's what Genesis is doing so many times, to where you're reading through this and it's like create, okay, like up X, Y, and you're looking down at your paper and he's just calling over and over like, hey, will you look up? Like, look at me. Like, look what I'm doing. I need you to partner with me. That's what I want. And I love it that you have all of these facts down and you have this chart. That's really neat. But the meta narrative of this is I'm looking for a partner to put this thing together.
Yeah.
So that's why I love it. Yeah.
I was at Mardell's recently.
Is it Mardell or Mardell's? That's like the Walmarts or the Walmart.
Or BJS or BJ's.
Don't start.
Come on now.
Do not start.
You know what we should have done?
What?
We should have just called them on our show. Is this a show?
On
On a recording.
Yeah, recording.
Called them
Yeah.
live on a recording and just solved it once and for all. But anyway, I was at that store, that Mardell's. My daughter was getting some supplies, and so I was just wandering. And it's kind of like, it was a Christian bookstore, educational deal. So have you been to Mardell's?
I've been to Mardell. I don't know if I've ever been to Mardell's.
I was talking about plural. Like, have you been to several of them? Yeah, multiple Mardell's. Or the one store that is Mardell's. So
yeah, that one. No, I've been there. I've been there.
So they have a chosen section.
What?
They have like hoodies, shirts, and I tell you, I've stopped at this. I seriously thought about buying a chosen hoodie. I did. And I got to tell you, it's been I think the last time I bought a Christian shirt, and not like from a Christian brand or anything, like Convoy's got some good swag. North Point's got some good swag.
Yeah, that's good.
But the last time I bought one with like a Christian message, it was, I was in a freshman in high school, and it was a t-shirt that said the Book of Daniel, but it looked like Jack Daniels. It says, drink me and you'll never thirst again. So it's like one of those, like a 40-year-old Harley Davidson biker be like, dude, nice shirt, bro. And then instantly convicted and fall to their knees. Yeah, what meaneth this?
What's crazy is, and not a lot of people know this, but you actually still have it, and you wear that as an undershirt every time you speak, which is kind of weird because it's a little tight. It's
a little tatted.
But it's a little
ratty tat tat. But that's all
What
right.
color was it?
It was black. It was just like, it'd be like, you imagine, do you ever have a Jack Daniels t-shirt?
I didn't.
Okay. It's black. And I don't know how that got through corporate, but that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But yeah, Book of Daniel. But you have to look closely to see that you're not a 14-year-old advocating.
No.
Right. So yeah, chosen. Okay, so Genesis. So one of my favorite things about, as we look at the invisible Jesus is, and you talk about this invitation from, we see this, it's interesting is some people will say, if you're thinking of history, right? Like if you read the book of Genesis like a math book, even that way, almost Genesis 1:1 to Genesis, 6 has nearly the same amount of time if you're interpreting all those specifically as Genesis 7 to now. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Whether you look at this as more of a, hey, this is the data, the earth was created 6,000 years ago, or hey, this is a story of creation and it's not about time.
There's two of them. So just to let you know.
Or I love the idea of that it's two tellings of the same creation.
Yes.
That's what I like.
Yes.
That's what I like. But I don't know what's North Point's official stance. So, but what I like about that is here's what we would all agree on. No matter what you think about age of earth, any of this, here's what we know. From Genesis 1 to Genesis 50 covers a ton of history. And there's 4 major families mentioned in Genesis. You've got Adam and Eve, right? You've got Noah and his family. You've got Abraham and his family, and you got Joseph and his family. And give or take, but the 4 major family elements. And all of them were invited to partner with God in bringing wholeness to the fractured world. And, when Joseph's, Joseph is, Abraham's family extended, but they spend a lot of time on that. When you see when you see that this setup starting in Genesis, starting with Abraham's family, when you see that, hey, we're going to do something different. We're going to partner with each other in bringing wholeness to this world, and what makes this family, which ends up being tribe, which ends up being nation, special, is because of your responsibility to model our partnership and to partner then with me, not so that I'm special, so that we can remind the world that you're special, right? And so that's what we want to continue. That's what it means for us to be in partners with God, that we're invited to help heal a broken world. And we start by inviting Jesus to heal our own brokenness and to bring wholeness to us. And then we partner with him. Otherwise, why? Why? If we don't partner with him, then why? So Genesis, the very book of beginnings. What are some, like, let's say we get to heaven and there's an orientation onboarding. I don't know how that works.
I hope it's a 4-day. That's what I hope.
I hope it's at like a retreat.
I would think like a large gym.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. Without AC, to where like everybody's a little bit cranky, but they're glad to be there,
and they're trying not to.
But they're not.
Right.
But they're like,
we're all still on probation, right?
Come on, yes, it's purgatory.
Is that how that works?
That's what that's called. Yeah.
Well, I was in book 67. Yeah. So if there's a Q&A session. My hand's going up. So what are some questions here's a question I'd have. Okay, so we'll bounce some questions maybe we have. One of the questions I have is, Cain killed Abel. He runs, right? He runs away because he's afraid. He's afraid because he's afraid he's going to be killed. By who? Right. Adam and Eve. And it says, so it doesn't answer that question. It just says he runs till he finds a city, and God marks him so that people won't hurt him. Mm-hmm. And so my question would be like, was that Cain and Abel's brothers? Were Adam and Eve the only ones, or the only ones that, so that'd be one of my questions. You got a question?
Yeah.
What's one of your questions? Because I got another.
What was, like, the snake?
Yeah.
He was walking around.
Yeah. Yeah, so because before the curse, the curse of belly.
So what'd that guy look like? What if we're going to take a literal reading of it, right?
Yeah.
Was that kind of like was it a dinosaur? Is that what?
T-Rex.
T-Rex?
From this day forward, your arms shall not be able to feed you.
That's low, man. That's hurtful.
Hey.
No,
hey. I didn't write it.
Yeah, that's one. And I mean, it's how you read Genesis, I think is the questions that would come up for me.
Yeah.
To where at this point, I don't know if I've got like these burning questions, other than like this large, like, oh, hey, like for real, if you knew it was going to get fractured. Like this was the best, like this was the best scenario. Like what, and the whole idea of like free will is like, what am I free to choose and what am I not free to choose within this scenario? Because I did not choose for it to be fractured. I did not choose for all of that. So that for me, like the philosophical box is what I would have questions on, and not necessarily like, did Adam have a belly button? Like, I don't know. I mean, I hope.
I don't think he did.
How
would he?
I mean,
is a belly button God's design, or is that a result of having a kid or being born? I guess.
I feel like it's. I don't care. That's what I'm. That's what I'm at.
I know. I'm just going to the science of it. So we need a doctor on the show. I don't think a belly button is a design. Right? It's a product, right?
I would think so, but so are nails.
So that's why I'm going to recognize Adam when we get to heaven. He'll be the only dude without one.
But that's why we have nails, is to scratch and claw, like to get into things. So did he not have fingernails? Like what? Like we could go a long way with this so those questions for me bring me into these spaces where I'm like,
Yeah. Don't matter.
I actually want to know what's the fracture?
Which makes it really easy to then, when you say, okay, what if it wasn't Wikipedia? And again, not saying it's not true, but what if the original audience was at this point now, it's a developed world, not developed in a 21st century business type of mentality, but it's a world of tribes, communities all over the known area. And now it is, let's get on paper the record of God. Take all these oral stories that have been passed on, and now let's record this. And I'm not even challenging, and obviously I'm not challenging the inspiration of it. I'm saying, okay, but we all know that this wasn't penned in the Garden of Eden. Adam didn't write the first half of Genesis and then hand it off like a baton to Noah. And then Noah carried it with all the animals on the earth, in pairs. So we know that at some point, and most people say Moses recorded what had been passed on. So then you say, okay, what was Moses' purpose? Moses' purpose is in the Near Eastern mentality would be to say, hey, this is who created, this is why he created, and this is your invitation. And this is who we are, and this is why we are. So let's go get it. And so it's powerful. With that, then you're like, okay, I don't think it eliminates the curiosity, or it doesn't eliminate a Western civilization thought, but it lessens the weight of it for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that the book of Genesis is trying to tell us truth over facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's what, and I'm not saying that, like, exactly what you, like, I'm not saying like that isn't real or that couldn't be real or there's no belly button or like that. I think it's just trying to tell us something different and bigger than what we usually focus on in churches and in Christian circles and Bible studies. And like, well, the question is like, what if he really wants to partner with us? Like, that'll change your life. Yeah. Adam having a belly button will not for me. Well, you don't think so?
Oh,
you
that
think so? It would rock your world.
I would give confidence to everything I've said for and that's is for me if the moral of the story of Genesis is how old the earth is, if the moral of the story of Genesis is every human being that was created listed in there in the genealogies, that's the question that we'll continue to see throughout this. What's the point of this genealogy? We already have said, and we don't get a lot of pushback because it's New Testament. A lot of times when we look at the New Testament genealogies, there's a couple there, and they're different routes to get to Jesus, and it's not because they're wrong. It's because there's different purposes. This purpose is to show he's part of the kingly blood, right? This purpose is to show that he's going to restore relationships, and he's coming from all types of broken relationships. And so there's a purpose to the genealogies. When we use a genealogy, we're thinking 23andMe. Right. Like, I don't want you to give me a fable when I paid $79 to get it.
I want to know if I'm Irish or not. That's what I want to know. Right? I want to know that.
And these genealogies are not 23andMe. There's a point. And again, I'm not saying he's taking random people and putting in the genealogy. I'm saying he's taking a very specific route through this genealogy to show the connections. And we got to say, what was this author trying to say? And we're fine with that at Christmas when we talk about this or different things in Matthew. Mm-hmm. But now when we go back to Genesis, sometimes the church and tradition, we get really nervous. Like, no, the genealogy is Wikipedia. And again, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it might not even be complete because I don't even know what the point of it is. So for us to get a math equation out of this is missing the purpose. Mm-hmm. So then when a discovery comes along, I don't get nervous. I'm not like, oh no, like that is wrong. Your discovery is wrong because it doesn't match up with my interpretation of the Western civilization of what I thought that should say. It'd be like, oh, cool. I can embrace all new learning because it doesn't challenge the God that I'm serving. And it doesn't even challenge the inspired word that I'm reading. It just challenges the way and the perspective from which I had read it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want us to do as we go through all of this is I hope, my hope for this whole series, that we would have this renewed passion for Scripture. Like I know that's been true for me for the last couple of months. I've been really prepping for this, and I have as much passion for Scripture and in taking information and details of it than I think ever have. But with it, what I'm so excited about, I'm seeing it differently, and it's not. And what I mean is that that's not changing theology. What it is saying, I'm not trying to guard what I must see here. I'm just asking God to show me here. And as we go through this next 2-year series to get through all 69 books,
66,
wink,
66,
wink, wink.
66. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then how cool will it be? So that would be the prayer. God, as we open up Scripture, give us eyes to see what you have. Give us hearts to receive what we see, and give us humility to walk out and confidence to walk out what you challenge us with. Let us find our beginning as well in a God who creates a good world, and help us partner with you in bringing fractures back to wholeness. So it's going to be a fun series.
I dig it.
So let's dig into it. Dig
I see what you did. there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
So yeah, very, very good. Well, hey, I will encourage you, if you missed this last weekend, we have it already available on any way that you catch up, whether it's YouTube or app, whatever it might be. And next week we'll be diving into Exodus. So we covered Genesis thoroughly in 1 week. So
Thoroughly.
And I got to tell you, I'm already excited for Leviticus. Very excited for Leviticus.
I can't wait.
I'm really, so far, I think that might be my most excited one.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's early. It's early.
What I love about it, there's a lot of challenging books that are coming up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's primarily why I'm only picking 1 week per book. You can find something.
9 weeks in Job. Was it?
Yes. We get some good sponsorships from that one. I have people just, all right. Hey, have a great week. I'm hoping all your college basketball teams are really flexing their net rankings right now. And
How are the Zags doing?
This is a big week for the Zags.
Yeah.
Big week for the Zags. So,
I know.
Normally I'm pretty relaxed this time of year, but actually it's it's the Sunday that we'll see the seeding, and we dropped too many games for me to be excited.
I know.
We're in.
No,
we're
yeah,
in.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
in.
yeah.
I'm confident we'll be in, but I'm not confident we'll get to the Sweet 16 for the 10th straight year. 9 years in a row, the Zags have been in the Sweet 16.
I did not know that stat.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
They have Houston is number 1, Zags, and then Kansas, I believe, the most wins over the last 5 years. So, yeah, they're a weaker conference. But even when they play in the NCAA tournament, to be in there for the 10th year, this will be their 26th straight year in the NCAA tournament, or 27th straight year. I think 26th. So
That's impressive.
27th. This is 27. Yeah. So, yeah. Right. So I'm nervous. We'll see. Can I tell you what I'm hoping for?
Please tell me.
I think the Riff listeners want to know.
They were hoping.
That's why they're still listening.
They were hoping. They fast forward to this spot.
Yeah. I'm hoping for a 6 seed.
6? You think 6? I think it's going to be lower than that.
If we win the tourney, beating St. Mary's, that's a pipe dream. If we do, then we get a 3 seed in the second round, and we can upset them and go to the Sweet 16 for a 10th straight year. If we get a 9 or 10 seed, which is pretty likely, that means we're one and done this year at best.
What?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're not going to beat a 1 seed in the second round. So we should do another podcast. Mm-hmm. A sports bartering one. Not gambling, but bartering.
No.
Right? Yeah. And we can call it Bart Your Socks. Right? I think that'd be awesome.
It's not the first time you've thought of this.
No,
you've got some plans.
No, I went to it was just a 1-day deal. There was someone I saw on social media that does business planning. And so dropped a little coin, went there, shot some ideas, and so I feel it's a good investment.
No, it's going to be solid.
Yeah, it'll be good. So, all right. Are we still recording?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
ya.
no, we are. All right.
Bye, Riff.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.